Welcome to the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast, where feelings aren't felt and snowflakes melt. Buckle up, it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
These confines with a monarch's voice cry havoc! Let slip the dogs of war. To my city steps. You insult my queen. You threaten my people with slavery and death. Oh, I've chosen my words carefully, Persian. Perhaps you should have done the same.
This is blasphemy. This is madness.
Madness. This is Sparta!
They painted over ants.
So, Russ, before I play the intro music, I just wanted to play a couple of pieces of music that I thought you'd appreciate. Do you know why I'm doing that?
I have no idea.
Special music picked out for us.
Because we're returning?
Because we are on our 150th podcast today.
Oh, wow.
We're at 150. So we're only 100 behind the age of our country.
I had no idea. I don't keep track of these things the way you do.
Well, I kind of have to because they're in files on my computer and I have to find things to produce the show and design the t-shirts and do all that stuff. So anyway.
Yeah, you do some hard work.
I've got some news about our t-shirts too.
Okay.
So we'll do that one towards the end. But anyway, I got a couple pieces of music to share with you that I thought were apropos to what we have been through, the struggles, the heartbreaks, the triumphs, the funny moments, the moments when Coop was on his meds and shouldn't have been until an hour before bedtime. All those moments, I think, are wrapped up in two songs, and I'm just going to play a snippet of both these.
The laughs, the tears,
I don't know what else is. So
sexual fantasies,
proclivities towards not having sex at all. All right. Well, you're married. You know all about that.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. So that was the very first movie I ever went to, live, except for
Really?
I was a little kid being in the back of the station wagon with the whole family going to something, and I had no idea what was going on. It's the first one, my sister took me and her friend, I believe. And my parents, or I think it was my mom, was all worried about the scene where he gets his eye slit.
Cut me, Nick. Cut me.
And it's like, I grew up on a farm as a Koopman. That's the dumbest, even when I was like 6, I knew how stupid that was to worry about that. Because I'd already been through fucking, being Koopmanized for the first 6 years of my life. But anyway.
I don't remember if the first movie I saw was, I know it was either Star Wars or Charlotte's Web.
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right. Yep. No, that's cool. Charlotte's Web. I cried.
Yeah, well,
I can't watch it again. I was traumatized by that.
I think I went with a preschool group to that one, I think.
No, I remember. I cried. My mom was all excited to take me to that too. God, cried like a baby. Okay. So Rocky, I think fitting, man against the world and just wants to go the distance and nobody believed in him. And it basically was a movie about him making the movie because it was the same character when he was trying to get the movie made. And you see that there's a movie coming out called I Play Rocky.
No, I have not seen that.
It looks really good. The actor that plays Rocky looks like Rocky. And he also played Al Pacino in the movie that was the 10-part series about making of The Godfather. He actually played Al Pacino. So that's an interesting spread, him playing Al Pacino. And now he's going to play Sylvester Stallone. So it's
You
the
have to.
making of
Yeah.
Rocky. And I saw the trailer to it the other day, and that's a movie that really excites the shit out of me to watch because
I'm.
I like biopics.
I'll check that out. I just remember seeing recently a clip of Sylvester Stallone talking about how he cast um, Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed. Have you ever seen that?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Talk about
the guy's talented as all get out. That's another reason that I threw that in there. Very
yeah.
talented, like a couple of your lovable hosts. Um,
They're
the
always talented.
what was I going to say about that? Oh, and if you people out there who haven't seen the what's it called oh the movie where he moves to not the movie the TV series that came out since second season where he's the mob boss that moves to the Midwest and
I'm not familiar with this.
oh really you're not familiar with that
Really,
series? Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, he's a New York guy.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. It's like the mayor of Kingstown. I mean, it's a Sheridan
I, I have never
deal.
seen him in anything that wasn't on a movie screen.
No, he's in this series on Prime. Here, let me pull it up real quick.
Oh, this is like something recent.
Yeah, it's like
Oh, okay.
it's heading into its third season now. Um, I'm sorry, I can't remember everybody. Everybody's screaming at the microphone. Going, I've watched. I love it. Right up there with Landman and Mayor of Kingstown. Um,
Landman's gonna be one of the ones I want to start at some point soon.
I
My
I
wife
I
and I are.
predict I predict you're gonna love it. I really
Well,
do.
my
Oh,
wife and I've seen enough clips of it to kind of get the general gist, but my wife and I are right now finishing up the eighth season of The Rookie with Nathan Fillion.
gotcha, gotcha. No, you guys. It's called Tulsa King, by the way. And
That sounds familiar.
the reason I couldn't get it out is because I was thinking Mayor of Kingstown, which is Jeremy Renner. Um,
Okay.
and a matter of fact, Christopher posted something about the bald psycho from Mayor of Kingstown
Yeah.
on our little chat the other day. And I think that was yesterday, actually. And I'm like, I love that guy. Yeah, he's Mayor of Kingstown is very dark, where the
Okay.
Tulsa King has a lot of, you could tell he's having the time of his life and he's actually cracking up a couple of times and it's real. You know how
Okay.
Sylvester Stallone will get like tickled with something for real and he'll
Yeah.
actually laugh and
Start
you can
laughing. Yeah.
you can tell like the crew is just they're all having a great time. I've seen some of the interviews and he's always, joking and hey, punching people and stuff like that. The little love story in there is actually very funny because they crack each other up for real. Dana Delaney, if you remember her from
I
famously
remember
from
her.
China Beach.
She was the only thing worth watching in whatever that horrible movie was with Dan Aykroyd and Rosie O'Donnell.
I thank God I didn't watch that.
Well, look, the only reason that movie is worth watching is because Dana Delaney does a full-on frontal nude scene.
I am aware of that. I'm aware of that. Yeah, no, I mean everybody had a crush on her in China when she was in China Beach. I mean, she was
Yeah.
everybody's sweetheart back then. But yeah, good actress too. And she's in this.
Okay.
So yeah, she's worth I mean, she's a good actress and she's worth and they start a little romance between the two of them and trying to think. There's just a lot of really good actors in it. And the acting is good. It's fun, it's funny. It's not like it's not violent because
Mhm.
it's about a mobster moving to Tulsa and taking over Tulsa thinking that he's got the Midwest to himself, and it's not. Frank Grillo plays the guy that's in the same family,
Okay.
but
Okay.
they're either at odds or they're friends. And shit, the name escapes me. Our buddy, I like him as an actor who won't kiss anybody but his wife on screen.
Oh, Neil McDonough.
Yeah, Neil McDonough is a bad guy, and he plays a damn
Shocking. He
he
plays a lot
plays
of bad guys.
he plays a lot of bad guys, and he's good at it, like
Yep.
psychotic bad guy in this one. So
It,
yeah,
it, it has taken me a while to accept him as a bad guy because the first thing I ever saw him in was Band of Brothers.
right. And he plays like he'll be on the Angel Studio movies.
Yeah.
Um,
He
playing
played he
bad.
played Satan in
He played
Shift.
Satan in Shift. I know he actually was great.
Yeah, he was.
I thought he was great. Funny for a guy who's most devout Christian man probably
Oh
in
yeah.
Hollywood, next to Mel Gibson and a few others.
And
But
maybe like Kirk Cameron.
yeah, the only part is there that Kirk Cameron isn't in Hollywood. He's just at his church making movies.
That's true.
That's okay. God bless the dude, man.
Oh yeah,
He's
well, I mean,
following his
especially
path.
given how the character he played on Growing Pains was not a Christian.
No, he was the yeah. I thought that movie was or that show was better than the Alex P. Keaton one because it had a little bit
Yeah.
more edge to it.
I liked it a little bit better.
What would you
Of course,
do, baby? That
of course,
than
they
than
had
that one.
that have a couple of very special episodes.
We've
I
talked
don't know if
about those a few.
the ones I remember, the two that I remember, one was they went to a party where there was cocaine, and when I went back and looked at that a little bit more recently, the girl who brought the cocaine to the party was Christy Swanson, who ended up playing Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have known it until much later when I saw her, because you see sometimes you see these actors that are their first time on screen, and you don't really take note of them because they don't have a big part and they're not known yet. And it's only a
Right,
few years
right.
later after they get known when you go back and you watch something, that's when you recognize them. I mean, to be fair, um, uh, who's the I'm drawing a blank. I shouldn't, but the guy who plays Thor,
Uh,
um,
Liam,
no, Chris Hemsworth. That's right, Chris
Chris
Hemsworth.
Hemsworth. I almost
Yeah,
said Liam Neeson because I think he's just imprinted in my soul as my.
but
If I
he
had a
play.
gay, if I had a gay day, it would be with him, probably.
I didn't make the connection until I saw it on rerun a few years later. But he plays Kirk's father on the new Star
Right.
Trek
Yes.
released in 2009.
Oh, you didn't know that? You didn't remember that, huh?
I didn't remember that until I saw that movie later after the Avengers were on. And then the other very special episode was there was an episode where Matthew Perry, Chandler Bing himself, died from a car crash.
Oh, ouch! That kind of hits close to home.
He played Tracy Gold's boyfriend, and he had some internal
What was he
bleeding and
drunk? Was
died.
he drunk driving?
I
Was it?
don't know if he was drunk driving or if he got hit by a drunk driver, but it's something like that. It was like a very special episode, and she got all emotional.
I remember the episode, but I don't remember that being Matthew Perry. So I haven't
And then,
seen any of those things for 30 years. So
don't forget
40 years.
the sister, the Crush sisters is what I call them, Missy Gold and uh Tracy Gold, Tracy Gold
God,
and
I
Missy Gold.
I hated those girls. I wonder what they look like now. I'll have to Google search it.
Oh, you're in a category by yourself then, because I love both of them.
Oh, really? I was not a fan. Not of those
Oh,
two. Maybe it was the
maybe it's
character. It was probably just the snotty characters.
maybe, but it also might have been a function of me being a couple years younger than you, and they were around my age or a year or so older, and so that was what. And they were also in syndication, so that's what I
I
watched.
didn't. I watched them during their weekly run. I had more of a crush on the mom than the sister. That's for sure.
Uh, Joanna Seaver.
She was pretty. She
Yeah,
was
I
a pretty
mean,
lady. And then you couldn't not like what's his face, the dad.
oh yeah, um, he it sucked the way you know how he died, right?
I don't remember. I mean, it was
He had
way
a
too
heart attack
young.
while he was playing hockey with his other son.
Oh, geez, the
Not
son that,
not the one that was the singer, but the
not
one
the
they had
singer,
like really late in life.
right? What's his name, by the way? Why can't I do any celebrity names today? Um,
Um,
this
Robin Robin Thicke.
Oh, Robin Thicke is the son. He was
Yeah,
Alan Thicke.
Alan Thicke was the dad. Yeah.
You know a lot. You know these fun facts about Alan Thicke, but he wrote damn near every theme song to every sitcom or every show, like in the '80s and early '90s.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't realize for a while that he was actually a singer.
Oh yeah, like Different Strokes and Facts of Life. Those were his songs that he wrote.
Yeah.
So he was like, he didn't need to act because you imagine how much residuals and all that stuff he was making off, especially in syndication.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
somewhat. I do know that I've seen some of these actors show us their residual checks, and they're not quite as much as you think they are. Um,
but a lead guy like that would get a nice big fat residual.
probably enough to live on. Some of these I've seen. I saw one guy. I don't remember who it was. Showed like 250 residuals checks. They were all 2 cents each.
Yeah, I've seen. I can't remember who that was. I saw that too. It's pretty funny. Um, Hopefully, we'll get residuals on these someday.
One day, maybe our children will.
One day. We had pretty good sales going on up until July 4th, so I want to thank everybody for that. Our eBay store did really well because I did some promotions on that. But I had like a patent troll like Adam Carolla crushed years and years ago pop up and uh, say that one of the shirts I designed, the welcome to, you
Hmm.
know, having a tough moment here. Damn it, I'm seeing your moment. The which I'm trying to think of which shirt it was now. I don't want to lie about it, but it was it welcome to? That
Trying to
one.
say that you stole his design.
Yes.
Have you ever
And
heard of this guy?
that they no, it's some random company, and I don't even know
Rando
how they
dude.
picked it
Yeah.
out because it I'm trying to remember which design it was now though. I don't want to screw that up.
Yeah. We can worry
Um
about it later.
before I post, before I say something. But here, I'll hold on a sec. Oh, it was the Gulf of America, make beaches great again. And some nipplehead told eBay that I was counterfeiting and I'd stolen the trademarked item. Welcome to America, make beaches great again. I don't think you can do anything with either of those things.
Yeah.
So what I did some research. I sent letters to their legal team, and eBay just took it down without any warning. I don't think they had any
Yeah.
evidence or anything like that. I was guilty, and it's up to me to prove that I didn't do that, which is great.
Yeah.
That's
That
awesome.
sucks.
It's like somebody's going to come on my, photography page and try to do. I've had people try to do that, but I own it, so you can't do a
Yeah.
fucking thing. Oh, that's a copyrighted photo that I took. Yeah, fuck you. Really, I got the
That's
original right
that's
here.
the photo I took, schmuckhead.
Yeah, don't worry. It's easy to prove. Downloaded on
Yeah.
this date. Taken on this date on the camera. It's got all of that. Now with digitals, you got all the information
Yeah.
embedded in the photo on JPEGs. But anyway, so I did this research, did our due diligence, sent my legal letters, prove it, went to their webpage, and it was interesting. The only thing they sell is hats. And there's
Well,
no
that's
design, there's no design anything like our design, because that's an original design. I wouldn't do that.
yeah.
Even if it's shitty, I would not steal somebody's design, especially having a photography business for all these years. And I occasionally see my photos out there. Matter of fact, very fun fact is that I was watching videos about foreigners
Hmm.
coming to visiting America and talking to
Yeah.
the world before the World Cup, for a couple of years, and everything we're told about the USA is a lie. This is the greatest place on earth,
Yep.
and they'll travel around. So there was a Scottish kid. He didn't really travel anywhere. He just looked at like videos.
Hmm.
I didn't know that because it was like it said something about Washington State. And so he was just looking at random videos of Washington State and saying, I've never seen anything like that. Just freaking out, one of those guys.
Hmm.
When I pulled out of YouTube, his thumbnail for his YouTube video was one of my photos I took of Mount Rainier from Mineral
Oh
Lake.
God.
I'm not kidding. And the photo was pretty popular. I've seen it on some web pages and as people's. There was even somebody I didn't know who had it as a cover photo. That was
Oh,
interesting.
nice.
Most of them, I sell a few here and there, but if people want to display my photos and they like them that much,
Be nice
I
if they
don't,
gave you credit for it.
I don't, yeah, it'd be nice to get credit for it, but I don't really care. I could tell you most people do give you credit for it and you get almost no business that
Well,
way.
that's yeah, but I mean, if it could be some kind of advertising, you never know what might break through.
No, you don't. I mean, I get word of mouth. That's pretty much how I sell my photos now. I don't do a whole lot of advertising, but
Yeah.
repeat sales, that kind of thing. But yeah, I was just astonished. And so I asked eBay customer service, what kind of proof did you have from this company? Because here's what I got. So then I just went back and snapshotted all of the emails and all of their crap and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get that one up and running again because that one sold pretty well. Actually, it's a pretty
Yeah.
cool. It looks like something you'd get at the beach, like it's real. But anyway, let's get on with things. That was boring, kind of. I bored myself right there talking about all that. Just kind of interesting, some of the little nuances that go along with
Those who love us will care.
trying to do anything. Is just trying to do the right thing is just hard to do.
Hmm.
You get people want to take your shit from you. It's just the way of the world. All right, this one might be a little bit more appropriate, I was thinking. So here we go.
Okay.
Wouldn't have had a rip roaring version of that.
Yeah, that might be appropriate to us.
I think it is right now, us and the world at large, because
Yeah.
this is a much different world than I remember and what I thought it was going to be like when I was a kid in the 80s.
Yeah, we were imagining like floating cities, flying cars, moon bases, and now
Yeah,
I've
I was
got
gonna
big
I was
billboards
gonna
that
be
say "Don't
making out
Pokemon and Drive."
Exactly. I was going to be making out in the back seat of my with Judy Jetson.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. While flying around, making out in the back seat. That'd have been great. Having the robot maid clean up the car afterwards.
Would she clean that kind of stuff up?
She would if I told her because she's a fucking robot. And the Isaac Asimov type of robots. Robert, no, that's the wrong author to talk about that. He never wrote about robots. It was Arthur C. Clarke that wrote about the robots, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I think so too.
Yeah, Clark, I think,
Anyway,
did the iRobot thing.
Asimov did the Foundation series, which I'm trying to watch season 2 of Foundation, and I don't know how you found that show.
I've only
Really,
been able to watch one episode. I haven't had a chance to
yeah,
get back into
uneven,
it.
uneven. Some things just drag out way, 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 way too long, which is that's the case. One thing I did want to talk to you about is I have noticed that I hit the fast forward button a lot these days. Maybe because I'm getting older.
Yeah.
Like if I know these characters are going to be talking about how much they love each other for the next 5 minutes, I'm like,
Well, there were some series
fuck
that
you, get off my phone. I mean, get off my TV.
there were some series that were great when they were like on a like here's one. Walking Dead when it was on AMC and it was an hour-long show, which means you really had to have like 43 minutes of action
Right,
because you got 17 minutes of commercials. It was a
right,
well-paced show. It had some of the pauses, but they were like leading up to something. But since it's gone, uh, to AMC Plus and there's no commercials, and now the show's like an hour and 45 minutes, which I don't want to sit down and watch that. It drags on forever. They want to set the mood so much that it eliminates the action, eliminates the tension. And you're like, geez, just keep it to an hour, keep it fast paced. I don't
right.
need, to watch them walk down a tunnel and pick their nose or something.
Yeah, and what's bad about when you binge watch a show and you don't divide it up, there is so much shit that they repeat.
Oh yeah,
The same angst, the same tensions, the same conversations over and over again. And network shows did that too, but you didn't notice it because it was a week apart. So you were like, you didn't
yeah,
notice it. But God, shows that just interminably, I like shows that get into like where two characters will get into this like really deep, deep, deep philosophical amazing conversation, and they'll do that little camera thing, where it's kind of.
yeah.
I love that. I love that kind of moody thing, but I don't need to hear you know, what have I been rewatching when I'm not really doing much? Oh, Falling Skies. I know you like Falling Skies, and so do I.
I liked the first couple seasons, but
It got
it started
wacky.
it got draggy and just like with a lot of shows, first I think Falling Skies was the first one that would go like a year or 2 years in between seasons, and
Yeah,
you lose interest.
yeah,
You lose interest after that.
you
I mean, there's
do.
a couple of shows coming out that I want to see, but I mean, I watched the first season, like whether it was Three Body Problem or Dark Matter, but it's just so long. You stop caring
Yes.
after after a little while. You know, I could see at most a 6 month break, but these year or 2 year long breaks is they're losing the audience.
Well, they are. And I think it's really cheating too. We've talked about this. TV sucked a lot in a lot of ways when you and I were growing up because there was 25 episodes that
Hmm.
they had to put in the can. So there was a lot of crap. And I went and like streamed. I listened to the Smallville, it's called Talkville podcast, and they'll talk
Yeah.
about one podcast one episode every week. So I went back and started following it with that. And what I noticed is all the B footage is like the fucking same. There's like 10 minutes of B footage in every show. And
Yeah.
so the writers don't want to write a full, 45, 47 minutes. What I hate, dude, that I can't, oh, it just makes me cringe. I'm glad I got the fast forward through streaming now because when somebody gets in their car to go somewhere and they show
Hmm.
2 minutes of the car going around corners and
Yeah.
then, going through a light. And I'm like, what the fuck? Show them getting in the car. And unless something's going to happen on the trip over there, show them getting out of the car and doing business.
Yeah.
But that would mean there's so much of that. And what fucking pisses me off now, they like you said, they do 3 years in between episodes on streaming, but they rehash some of the same things over 10 episodes. 10
Oh yeah.
episodes. I mean, there's got to some shows have hit the sweet spot. I don't. You're not a Reacher fan, I don't think.
No,
But
but I've seen clips of it.
Reacher is just boom, 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 boom. Stuff just happens, and it's it fills up every episode. You're not bored. You're not waiting for something to happen. You
Yeah,
know,
well, back when when we were kids and the shows would have 24, 25, 26 episodes in a year, and it was week to week kind of a thing. Yeah, they had some bad episodes, don't get me wrong. But because they would have a new episode the following week, you could get, if it was at least decent, you could get past a bad episode
right?
pretty quickly.
Yes, you could.
And like I said, the breaks, I think I've mentioned this before. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before. But the 3-ish months between Best of Both Worlds episodes on Star Trek Next Generation just about killed me.
Yeah,
Nowadays, we'd have to wait 2 years to find out what happened after he said, "Mr. Worf, fire."
right. That's absolutely true. You're right. You can forgive some of the bad episodes, but I will never forgive the bad episode of Fall Guy when Boy George was the guest star because he got mixed up with like a country singer called Roy George or something like that, and he shows
Actually, it
up.
wasn't Fall Guy. That was the A-Team.
Oh, you're right. It was the A Team.
Because I remember that episode because that
How
was back
dare I
during Boy
desecrate the
George's.
great Fall Guy?
Yeah, that was
I
back
love
when
the
Boy
Fall Guy.
George was like really big and they were trying to cross put him into everything.
It was so fun. Well, I mean, the A Team, it would be unwatchable now. I could not watch an
Oh no, the
episode.
A-Team there are some shows that would be, I mean, the A-Team, nobody ever got shot. They would shoot a boatload of bullets, but nobody ever got shot. It almost always ended with them building a tank of some kind. But
Right.
here are some shows that would be unwatchable today. A-Team, the original V miniseries.
I've been wanting to look at that, but I would probably hate my
I
life if
look,
I did.
I remembered it much differently as a kid. I tried watching it like 15 years later when I was a grown up, and oh my God, it's bad. I
That
mean,
Mark
like,
Singer, the main character, that Mark Singer guy, he was in everything for a while too, like
oh
every
yeah,
space adventure movie, everything. And I was always
but
like, this guy sucks.
the dialogue, the plot points, everything was horrible. One that I remembered fondly as a kid, but is unwatchable today, is Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
Oh yeah, that would be horrible. That'd be
Um,
horrible.
and then, well, it's not horribly bad. There are some great episodes, but the original Battlestar Galactica doesn't necessarily stand up. The
It
very
sure does not. I will sometimes put on an episode just for remember, just to remember
there
how
are
much I loved it as a kid, or
yeah
just
there
nostalgia sake.
are there are a couple of episodes that will, but most of it
Ah, I
just
can't get
does
rid of this
not.
frog in my throat. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, as far as Buck Rogers goes, I wouldn't do a reboot because I think Farscape kind of captured that in a really awesome way. Did you ever watch Farscape?
Never watched Farscape.
Oh, God, I think it would be right on your list
There
of.
are here are two series I never watched that I would like to get into it. Farscape is one,
Yeah, absolutely.
and you may kill me for this one, but Firefly. I never watched Firefly.
Wow.
But now Firefly kind of killed itself because when they first broadcast it, they broadcast the episodes out of order, out of
Out of order.
sequence.
Right.
It killed the continuity of the show. And so since they didn't have many episodes, I really didn't pay much attention to it.
God, I mean, it was the Old West in space, man. It was great.
Well,
Just,
everybody who watched the episodes in order afterwards
mhm.
said it was awesome. And I like Nathan Fillion.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he's the
it's
best.
it's funny that he, he's one of those where I actually did recognize him after the very first movie I saw him in. Do you have any idea what movie you may have seen him in first?
Um,
He's extremely scrawny,
trying to
and
think.
he comes off as a bit of a douche
I bet he did. The
or
only
nerd.
movie I can remember seeing him in before he got a little bit more famous was what was it called? Slither, where the aliens were invading the town and he was the town sheriff.
I think it's before that. It was his part was so small, even though it was pivotal, that one of his main co-stars didn't remember that he was in it with him until Fillion reminded him of it years later. Um, he was the very first Private Ryan they notified in Saving Private Ryan.
I do remember that now.
Yeah, Ted
I do
Danson
remember
said
that
years
now.
later when he was talking to him and giving him praise for the rookie that Fillion had to remind him that they were together in Saving. I mean, and Ted Danson like was comforting the kid when he thought that he had lost both of his brothers. But I mean, you look at him, he looked like wow, he looked like a kid. You
I
would
do remember that. I do now that
yeah.
you said that. I do remember that. Going, oh, when I
But
watched it again, yeah,
I
after,
recognized him years later after I had seen that.
yeah, that's kind of fun. When you remember Vin Diesel being in that?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's kind of random. Yeah,
Yeah, one of the first things he was in,
right.
um, Giovanni Ribisi.
Which I love.
Yeah. Um, and then who's there was one other wisecracking kind of dude. He was in Friends later.
Crackalack. Oh, well, you're not talking about Captain Sobel, are you?
No, no, no. He was
Because
no. This guy
he was.
played in Friends for only a couple episodes. He was Chandler's roommate when Joey moved out.
I don't know that I didn't really watch that show. Really, I just
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I did.
I don't know
It
what
was
the
one of
hell. I
those.
was probably at the gym or something.
Well, it was one of those where I got into it started my senior year of college, and it was
Gotcha.
kind of something different. But then it does get stale after a while because six single people living in New York City, that that's an expensive city, and they don't ever seem to be doing, they didn't seem to be moving forward in life until right near the end.
This is some analysis that we're giving here
Yeah, I
about
know it's intellectual. This is intellectual gold.
but we need to feed our audience. Not all of them are like into the cutting edge politics like you and I are. And frankly, I've been off doing my vacations for a couple of weeks, so I haven't really been. When you're at the beach with the dogs and stuff like that, you don't really pay attention. I just
All right,
didn't. So
I do want to tie this back to something you mentioned earlier, and it'll lead us into a topic that you probably don't care much about, but I at least want to just talk about it briefly.
that's all good.
Um, was the video, first of all, the videos of the foreigners that came over here for the World Cup
Hmm.
did more for our image than decades of diplomacy.
Sure.
I mean, they loved the food, the air conditioning. You had people taking trips to Walmart saying it looked like a museum. Um, the Tartan Army of from Scotland drinking a bar dry in Boston is just so on point for the Scots.
Right.
Um, and it was fun to watch those videos because they were like, they it's like the light bulb went on that, hey, our media in Europe's been lying to us pretty badly. One guy said he was expecting to come over and see a lot of racist violence, and it ended up that he couldn't get a ride. He was going to walk to the stadium. He's going to walk to Gillette Stadium, and some hotel clerk was like, "No, I'll give you a ride." Just completely shattering their the narrative they've been fed. Um, and then it leads to what I know you don't like, but the biggest sporting event in the world. There's a couple of things to mention about it. First of all, did you know that the men got to equally split their winnings with the women?
Why did you have to say something to enrage me this early on into the podcast?
Yeah.
It just
Well,
the
because of purple hair
stupidest
Rapino.
fucking thing.
Well, and
Just part of the reason I don't like soccer is shit like this, man.
it was first of all the women tried to play it up as we weren't getting equal pay, despite the fact that they failed to mention that they had negotiated a contract that had stuff the men's team didn't, like health care benefits
Like
were
tampons.
no, I mean, you actually got like maternity leave and health care and stuff on the women's team. You didn't get that on the men's team. On the women's team, every single player on the team got paid. On the men's team, they only get paid if they are on the field. They're 22. I don't know if it's 22 or 26 players that are on the team that they take with them. 11 start, and then you get a max of 5 subs. That means like 6 to 10 players do not get paid at all for being on the men's team. But they made a big deal about the equal pay stuff. The women have won the World Cup and the men haven't. Yeah, the women draw from a pool of about $316 million, no, $164 million, something like that. The men's team, because it's the most popular sport on the planet, draws from a pool of like $1.3 billion. So of course the women want a piece of that. And for folks saying, well, the men should have spoken up, nobody on that men's team was going to say a word because they'd have been canceled and kicked off the team and vilified if they had
Yeah.
brought up how stupid that was. But so that was one thing. Um, and then uh, the men flamed out pretty spectacularly at the end. They did well through the group stage, like the regular season part is what I kind of refer to it as. And then the first knockout game, they did great, and we were thinking, hey, this is a good team. We're going to prove it against. And then against Belgium, I mean it looked they were tentative. It Here's what it looked like. It looked like the New England team that played your Seahawks. They were just happy to be there, and then they were got scared when they had to face somebody real.
Yeah.
Um,
I'd say that's a good analogy, really. Yeah.
yeah, they were the goals that they let in. They shouldn't have let in. It was like they were intimidated by Belgium of all teams. And after Trump went to bat for him, because I don't know if you know, in the Bosnia game, our best player,
No,
a
I
guy
do
named
know about
Val
that. Yeah.
Balogun,
Hmm.
got kicked out of the game for bullshit. It was a ticky-tack garbage foul. They used what's called the VAR, the video assistant referee. Basically, it's replay. It's the replay that you got in the NFL, but they used it wrong. They're not supposed to assess flagrant fouls at slow motion or stop screen. They're supposed to evaluate it at game speed, and the ref evaluated in slow motion and decided it was a flagrant foul and kicked him out. And Trump, of all people, steps in and kind of gives his buddy, the FIFA president, a call. It's like, hey, I want to go back and relook that. Now there was precedent for the suspension being lifted. I mean, they lifted it for I don't know if you know who Ronaldo is,
Yeah, I do.
but they lifted it for him because he got he did a foul so bad back in November of last year that he got suspended for 3 games, which meant he would have missed the first 2 games of the World Cup. And FIFA was like, let's not have one of our biggest stars in the world sitting on the bench for the first 2 games of the World Cup. So when they did that, they there was precedent there. They couldn't go back and say, well, we really can't lift that suspension. It's unprecedented. No, it's not unprecedented. I think they did it for 3 players just so they could play in the World Cup. But it didn't matter because we got the Belgium game and we looked like, like absolute ass, like it was our first World Cup.
Hmm.
Very disappointing game. I'm sure you've experienced, Seahawks football games where you're like, what team is this on the field? This is not the one I
Yeah.
I saw.
More painfully, the Washington Huskies when they were supposed to like win national championships there for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Lose to like Cal, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then our buddy who I got listening to the podcast, our buddy from England, Chris Coyle. Um, he was there was a game yesterday between England and Argentina, Falklands War #2. I don't know if you saw, by the way, the Argentina players carried a banner out on the field saying that the Falkland Islands belong to them. Um,
Wow. I did not. I did not see that.
yeah. But here was the thing with that. The English went up in like the 58th minute. Like there's still 30 plus minutes of actual game time, and then they add time on the end for if there's a stoppage in play. The English went up 1-0, and then instead of continuing to play the way they always played, they went. It's like they went into 4 corners. They tried to play defense all the time, and Argentina's got the best, arguably the best player of all time, if not one of the top 2 or 3 best players of all time,
Right.
Lionel Messi, and he put the ball in position for the Argentinians to come back in the last 10 minutes of the game. And so
I saw the highlights. Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Did you hear the Argentinian coach when asked why they didn't have any minority players on the team?
I didn't.
Okay, well, all right. So Argentina has almost an exclusively Latin team. Um,
Okay.
they,
That's
they
fine.
don't have the history of slavery that Brazil had, so they don't have a lot of players of different races on the team. They have almost exclusively Latin team. And a reporter asked the Argentinian coach, "Why don't you have any minority players on the team?" And the coach said, "Because this isn't a Disney movie."
God
So
bless him.
I
God
thought
bless
that was
him.
kind of funny. Um, so
That is
Sundays
funny.
Argentina,
That is
Argent,
funny.
Sundays Argentina and Spain, and then this will shut down for the next 4 years, and y'all never have to worry about soccer for another 4 years.
So is the women's World Cup like every in it's like 2 years from now?
It's next year. It's the odd number year after the men's World
Oh,
Cup.
they don't do it like the Olympics where they would make a little bit more sense if they did it like the Olympics where they went winter, 2 years, summer, 2 years, winter, 2 years, summer.
No, because I don't know. I don't know that the women's team can win back the goodwill they had in '99. I mean, they were the darlings of the country in '99, and
Yeah,
then
we all
purple hair
loved it.
girl just completely shit on everything. Even the United States was rooting against them in the last Women's World Cup.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
they should split that $1 billion since they can't beat a men's junior high soccer team.
I know they lost the under 15 team from Dallas.
And I actually, and I'm actually being serious. Usually I say these things in a comical way. I really don't want anybody to think that I hate women's sports or that I'd be proud. I'd be proud. I remember watching the gymnastics team when they pulled off a couple of stunners back in the day, and I was in tears. The women's gym in the Olympics. That I can't. What was her name? Carrie Strug, that very brave girl back
Yeah,
in like '96
one that
who
broke her
did
ankle or
it did
something.
it on a broken ankle and landed perfectly anyway. The
Yep,
vault. And
yep,
I was bawling. I was like, oh my God.
yeah.
I like, one thing I love is women's fast pitch.
Hmm.
The Huskies usually have a competitive team, and those are really fun games to go to. Those girls can hit and they can pitch. Those are
Yeah.
athletes. And most of them are, it's kind of funny. You have like the girls that are complete tanks that play catcher. And then
Yeah.
you got the real fast, speedy ones and stuff like that. It's fun to watch. Um, but those teams have just been full of leftist. See you next Tuesdays. I mean, they're it just the last couple of rounds, and Megan Rapinoe and
Who's now in favor of trans players playing on the team now that she's no longer on the team.
no longer on the team. I mean, just political, where you never heard shit from the men's team about politics or anything else.
No,
No,
look, I don't go there. There's you know, sport comes from the French word disport, which was a takeoff of something that meant distraction. Um, and that's what sports is supposed to be, a distraction from the rest of the stuff. I don't need to be lectured. I don't need to be talking
100%.
politics of sports. I go there to escape that kind of crap.
Yeah.
I want to be entertained with athlete. If you want to go, you know, go with your own little group and go talk stuff, great, but don't make it part of your identity for the team. People don't want to hear that because they want to go there and actually enjoy something without thinking that maybe somebody hates them. And you're right, the men's team does not talk about it like that.
Yep. It's one of the reasons the main reason I haven't watched the NBA in God knows how many years now. I can't remember the year because the whole Sonics debacle that happened to us became the
Yeah.
Oklahoma Thunder. And they're still dragging their feet and getting another team, even though we rebuilt this Climate Pledge Arena. Fuck. I don't know that
Yeah.
I'll ever go to a game there. But basketball is so politicized,
Oh
so
yeah.
and everything from the Black Lives Matter and the underneath the baskets to the all of it. It's just so politicized. Football is not so much, but where
Football's reeling back. They removed the end racism from the end zone. Um,
that'll
Bill
help end
Maher,
racism.
what's that?
I said things like that are so performative because there's literally nobody in the stadium or watching on TV that was a racist, and they look at that and they go, "God damn, I'm gonna start loving everybody."
Yeah, that was Bill Maher's point. Bill Maher on his show was talking.
No
I
thanks.
believe
I
it
thought
was
it
to
was my
Slotkin.
point. Thought it was my point. Damn it. No, go ahead.
I think it was Slotkin, but I could be mistaken. It was like, they're going to remove that. And she was like, well, why? He's like, because it's dumb. It's performative. No one
Right.
says no racist in America is looking at that and thinking, you know what? I think I'll stop being racist now. He's like, it's the shoving into people's faces that turns people off. And the people who are pushing that stuff usually aren't watching the games anyway.
Right. I
Um,
think I've done a pretty good job ending racism, like in my life and as a leader. I
yeah,
think I've done everything I need to do. I also really like racist jokes because I've had a lot of friends. You and I grew up in a very multicultural profession,
oh
where
yeah.
at times my enlisted soldiers, when I got my platoon, I was literally the like one of three white guys out of 40,
Hmm.
and that's not unusual, and there was a lot of jokes going around about that, about how they had to send the white boy down to take care of all the whats,
Yeah, yeah.
and they would say it in front of me, and it was funny as hell. It wasn't. I got to get out of full screen here. Hold on a sec.
People had senses of humor.
Yeah, I mean, it
And,
was funny,
and it
and there's
went
probably enough truth to it to actually be
well. It went every which way. I mean, Richard Pryor used to tell some racial jokes all over the place.
he wrote Blazing Saddles, for
Uh,
crying out loud,
he
everybody.
was supposed to originally be the sheriff in Blazing Saddles, but he
Right,
was considered too controversial.
right.
But they really could not have gone wrong with Cleavon Little. I mean, he did a great job
It was
in that movie.
perfect. It was
Um,
perfect.
there are a couple of comedians that I listen to now that I like with this. I mean, I still like Akash Singh. I think I've told you about him before.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen
Um,
Akash.
there's a guy named Quinn Dale, who's funny. He does he
I know
does
I've seen him. I just can't picture him right this
he does
second.
racial humor of everybody.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh yeah,
but
I know who he is. I know exactly who he is, and that's his whole shtick, pretty
yeah,
much.
and I saw a clip
He's
of
a
some
bald little white guy with a bad
yeah
mustache. Yeah, and
yeah
he's funny as hell.
and somebody in the audience said, "I think some of your jokes are offensive," and he turned and said, "You know, ma'am, let me tell you something. If you get offended easily, maybe don't go to a comedy show."
Right.
Um,
God, but his jokes are hilarious.
there and usually it's the folks in the audience that are laughing. The minorities in the audience are laughing the hardest at the jokes.
Right. I
Because
love. Go ahead.
okay, he said there's a difference between racial humor and racist humor.
A hundred
Um,
percent. A hundred
and he
percent.
understands that different. And like I said, he goes after the white guys. There was he had the white guy at the white guy with the big long beard and the NASCAR cap. I was like, hey sir, misjudged our meeting the other night. You know, so yeah,
Um,
I just
no, that's good shit. That's good shit.
it's been kind of fun to watch comedy come back over the last couple of years because I think
Hmm.
people finally got sick of the scoldings.
Right. Right. That's one of the reasons I love Kill Tony so much is because he doesn't give a fuck. I mean, he's creating all these special needs comics as one of the punchlines,
Oh,
which is
Aaron
funny.
Belial is amazing.
He is amazing, and
Uh,
there's a new guy up there that has real schizophrenia, and he's becoming huge. He got a golden
Who,
ticket.
who's the girl in the wheelchair? She's got glasses.
Yes, she's really pretty red-haired gal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
can't remember her name off the top of my head.
see the joke off between her and Aaron Belial?
I haven't seen it, but I know what you're
Oh,
talking
you got to
about.
see that. That is
I'll probably watch it tonight.
they them going after each other is
They were roast.
hysterical.
It was the roast battle that they were at. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that is
yeah.
one of the funniest things I have ever seen. So
And
get a chance to watch it.
they'll just bash on people, but everybody that steps up on that stage that has the balls to step up there for 1 minute and try to deliver the goods, they're going to get it. They don't all get roasted, but they'll say something about their parents or my I was watching the last Kill Tony episode, and this comedian that was in his 60s that had been around forever, but nobody really knows. But he's very funny, and his 1 minute was all about loving black women.
Mhm.
And his one of his funniest jokes that delivered was, "Right now, I'm actually not married to a black woman. I'm married to a woman that's both black and white. She's biracial, so she works part time."
Oh God. Jeez.
That's funny. That's funny. So, I mean, he was enjoyable, and he was so nice, had such a good sense of humor, and he actually, had a black wife that you kind of go, okay, who cares?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Have you seen the roast yet of
Of
Kevin Hart?
no, I have not had a chance.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't watch that if the girls are within hearing distance,
That's
but
part of the problem.
yeah, but
It's the summer. The girls are around.
right, it's I wouldn't say it was as funny as the one of Pretty Boy.
Tom Brady.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it was just as good in a lot of ways, but now there's a huge fight with Chelsea Handler and the whole
Oh, I
Shane
know.
Gillis
Chelsea
Tony
Handler's a
hit.
cunt.
Oh, she is one of the worst human beings that's ever lived. Brag about the number of abortions you've had. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she got into a Shane Gillis, and Shane Gillis just tore her apart.
Well, Tony Hinchcliffe, man, this week's Kill Tony, he's talking about it, and he's always like self-deprecating, but then he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm a racist." And he looks around behind at the band behind him that's got
Yeah,
like four black guys and a bunch of Mexicans and only one white guy in it. And oh yeah, I'm so bad, and half the comedians that he's made famous literally are special needs
oh yeah,
comedians. And then he goes, "But hey, Chelsea, you fucking bitch, keep calling me a racist, you goddamn old cunt." I mean, he said it
yeah.
right on his pod. It's
Good.
like I don't blame him. I don't blame him
People need
for
to
it.
stop inviting Chelsea to these roasts.
Well, they she needs to quit getting any publicity because she's literally never been funny.
No, she's into to outrage smug shit.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's a few female comedians that I will watch everything that they're on all the time. And she's just not funny. There's
I've never found her funny.
and she's not attractive. It's like
No,
yeah, she can eat.
she's gonna end up alone as an old woman too.
That's right. One of the jokes that I thought hit against her on that one is she famously her and Joe Coy famously hooked up. where like the oh my God, we're in love and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then of course she also had sex with 50 Cent and a bunch of rappers and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And one of the guys says, "So you went from 50 Cent to Joe Coy, who's an Asian American comedian. Jesus Christ, you have something against regular sized dick?" I think that might have been one of the guys from oh, what's his name? The big dude who wears fingernail polish, got the big goatee. Anyway, it'll come to me, but um, it'll come to me. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
He works with Sal Volcano, and um, anyway,
I'm not familiar.
big. He goes by Big. What's his face? Anyway, let's move along, if you want to.
Sure.
You
I've
had
bored
to,
y'all enough with soccer talk.
yeah, that's hot soccer and comedian talk there, but
Hey, just real quick, fun trivia note, because I know everybody, the whole world calls it football or football.
right.
Do you know why we call it soccer?
I actually don't. I was thinking about that for like 3 seconds, and I realized I was thinking about soccer, and I punched myself in the nuts with a hammer.
It's taken from the British Association of Football, ASOC, soccer. That's how it
Huh.
evolved.
Interesting. Are we the only country that calls it soccer?
Probably. I don't know that for sure, but probably.
I was just watching, I actually don't hate soccer as much as I do the shtick with Russ because I really love the Wrexham TV show.
Yeah.
And I started watching the latest season. I don't know when it came out. Um,
It was a couple months ago because I've
okay.
watched it. I've watched the whole season.
Have you? I've watched about, I don't know, a third of it, and I really enjoy that. Now, I will tell you when they get the women's Wrexham soccer
Okay.
team, that's when the fast forward button comes.
Yeah, I've done the same, to be fair.
Or and it's well intentioned. Some of the stories they do about the local people and stuff like that, I'm just like, all right, fast forward. Let's get to a match. Let's get to the politics. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, making fun of somebody, or
Ryan
being.
Reynolds retweeting when they said "fuck the Tories," causing a major PR stir. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So no, it's an enjoyable game, and I do enjoy that community stuff too. But
But look, I'll be fair. There's some stuff about it that, like I put a joke on my own Facebook page about soccer team bus, soccer team killed after bus goes over minor speed bump in the parking lot or something like that because of all the super flopping that they do. They get touched and they roll out like they're about to die.
yeah,
I get that turns people off.
yep. And when it's a real injury out there, it's pretty bad, man. I
It it can
some
you could
compound fractures because of a tackle or something like that.
I got injured a couple times really badly, but people also play it up, try to get the referee's attention, which makes it a boy who cried wolf syndrome. Now with the VAR, if they can prove that if they can show that you were never touched and you fell anyway, that'll get you in trouble.
Will that get
Um,
you a yellow card?
yeah, it happens. It's happened a couple times during this one, but we've got the
Don't
two.
do that, though. I will hold up one of these cards in front of you. I swear to God, I will.
We've got the two best teams in the world playing on Sunday.
They should have a fucking penalty box in soccer. That would make it a lot more interesting, like hockey.
Well,
That
somebody
would,
who was it that said that? Um, I don't remember who said this. That they could make it a lot more interesting if you had a series of randomly placed landmines and a sniper in the stands.
yeah, I would release lions like you did in the room. Just
I
have
like to see 'em.
just have like 3, 4 lions roaming around and see how many.
Well, what would make it really fun is if they played with two balls at once.
Yes, and if you got a penalty, you had to be spread. You had lamb meat smeared all over you, and then you can go play again.
Well, actually, as you walk to the penalty box, they've got a hose full of blood and they just shower you down.
That's right. And that you have to get back out on the field. You can't refuse to get back out on the field. That'd be pretty bad.
Now, to be fair, the landmine and sniper thing would also work well in baseball. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I love baseball. I think it's an elegant sport, but I love all the nuance to it and all the different millions of things that can
I
happen all
do
at
laugh
once.
at baseball fans who are like, "Soccer's boring." I'm like, dude, you're watching a 4 hour game where maybe if it's a high scoring game, 8 times in 4 hours somebody ran across a pad.
Yeah, but you have to have a different brain to really, really appreciate baseball. You have to get into stats, situations, righty versus lefty, all that stuff makes it far more interesting. Matchups, all that stuff.
Yeah,
So you
but
have to be into that.
that's the kind of nuance and appreciation of the game that people don't understand that soccer fans have the same thing. That's why, when folks say soccer's boring, we're like, okay, you're not into the nuance, but don't talk to me about boring when you've got, a 4-hour baseball game and, it's an exciting event if a beach ball blows in from the stands onto the field.
I thought it was interesting when I was watching Wrexham. I think it was episode 3 or 4. They were talking. I can't remember the coach's name, and he's
Phil Parkinson.
Phil Parkinson. He's been with the team for a few years now,
Hmm.
and he's an interesting cat. I
He
just
says
kind of
the F
watch.
word every other word.
Yeah, I think he seems like a good coach, but they were talking about how now they're what league are they in? They're not in the Premier.
They're in the championship league. They're just
Which
a
is
step
one
below the
down.
Premier League.
That's okay. That's what I thought. But it's like he's never won the anything at this level and all of that stuff. And it's like teams. One of the players was saying that I think sometimes he's very predictable because he just wants the goalie to kick it out to the striker and run down the field and score. And
Yeah.
other teams are the really good footwork.
Distribution stuff. Yeah.
I noticed that with the USA too, is they were really outmaneuvered. The footwork on the other team
Well,
was so much better than the USA.
Belgium is not that much better. We played. I mean, it really was. It was the worst game I think I've ever seen us play. With the exception of the very first World Cup I ever watched back in 1990
Huh.
between the
Yeah.
U.S. and Czechoslovakia. We looked like scared kids out there. And in 1990, we had folks who, if they were lucky, they were playing amateur ball in the United States.
Hmm.
They it, it was a big deal when we got a player that played on a club team in Europe.
Right.
Now all of them play on club teams in Europe with rare exception. They're
Gotcha.
all in the higher leagues. They should know what the pressure is like. And they folded like a cheap suit, and they had people declaring that it was, a failure of a World Cup because of how crappily they played. It was just it was embarrassing. But see, we've devolved back into soccer talk again.
I know
Um,
you've dragged me
the
back
the
here. We're going to talk
here's
about everything I want to talk about next podcast.
you probably don't. See, I actually followed the Wrexham team, so I knew what was coming for the final episode. You
Oh, okay.
probably
Don't
don't.
don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I will just say that it was when Wrexham first got to this league, and for those who don't know, imagine if the NFL, the bottom two teams had to go play in the UFL the next season, and the top two UFL teams got to. That's the relegation thing that makes that
I kind of
stuff.
I kind of I kind of like that part of it. I must admit.
Yeah,
I think that part of it's kind of cool.
but no team had ever gone back to back to back to rise in the leagues. So I was just going to be happy at first if they avoided relegation, if they avoided going from the Championship League back to League Two or back to League One, and them competing for a playoff spot. I always thought that that would be, you know, beyond wildest imaginations. If they somehow got to the Premier League, I mean, that's like I don't know that would be like the Washington. That would be like uh, the Washington Huskies suddenly going to the NFL
Right.
and making waves in the NFL. It'd be
We had a good
better.
recruiting year, but not that good of a recruiting year. So we'll see.
Yeah, but I I'll be honest on that series. I've actually kind of grown to like Rob McElhaney a little bit more. I think
Gotcha.
he's interesting. Plus, I
Yeah,
also
I did.
watched him.
I've never had any real great like for him either. He just
No,
kind of.
but he's been more personable watching that. Two things about McElhaney. First, you made this. He looks a lot like Seth MacFarlane.
He does
He
look a
really
lot like Seth
does.
MacFarlane. Maybe that's because I'm not a Seth MacFarlane's really talented, but there's something about him that bothers me. I just want to
It's
punch
a
him.
little bit, yeah, a little bit snarky kind of
Yeah,
thing.
even
Uh,
for I mean for real, not in his characters in his
yeah,
cartoons. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I watched McFarlane on Bill Maher once, and he comes across as a condescending prick. But the other thing, I also just recently watched Rob McElhaney on Hot Ones. Have you seen that show online?
I've watched it a couple times. If there's somebody really interesting, I watched the Corolla one, and he just mowed them all down with no problem. It was bizarre.
Yeah. Well, there have been a few that have done that. Corolla did. David Blaine, the magician, got through all of them really easy.
Oh,
Jenna,
I'd like to prove that he didn't like woof, he can make things disappear.
yeah. Well, Jenna Ortega.
Yeah,
Um,
I know who
got
she
through
is.
it real well. But the ones I enjoy watching are the arrogant, cocky people who have no respect for it. I think they're just gonna mow through it, and they just end up crying. Everybody from Idris Elba, who challenged the show's forerunner to a fight because he was in such pain, um, to
that would have been funny to watch actually.
yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, um, Billie Eilish. Thought she was going to be so cool, and she wasn't. I don't. There were a couple of like teeny bopper anime from Japan chicks on there. They're like, I grew up in spicy culture, and they ran into a couple of those wings, and they were like literally crying. So
Hmm.
that's I watch it to see the arrogance punctured. That's what I love about that show. But McElhaney being on there, he's like, I'm not going to drink any milk or anything unless you do to the host. And the host's like, well, I'm marrying you, so we're at a standoff. And so McElhaney takes a bite and he's like, dude, take off your jacket. Take off your jacket now. Um, I think it was Heidi Klum that came in there, and she was so hot she actually undid her blouse and started fanning herself. And the host was like, "What's going on?"
And this is the greatest day of my life. That's what he was
Yeah,
probably
pretty
thinking.
much.
So we've covered. Let's talk
We covered
about.
some weird topics. Yeah,
There's three things. There's two. You know what? Three things we need to blow up: soccer, this podcast, 150, and Iran.
Carg Island.
Yes. Let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that. Give us your highlights, and I'll chime in.
Well, first of all, I don't know how much I believe Trump on this when he said that the MOU was a trap to see if Iran would uh, would abide by it or not.
Right.
I really do think Trump thought they were going to abide by it. Um, I think, and I knew that they wouldn't. But I
Yes.
think Trump, he's used to making deals, and he thought they would do it. But give him credit that once they showed they were completely, not going to do anything, Trump's like, okay, fuck it, I'm going to unleash the military again, and they're going to go after everything. And now Iran is like, oh, we really want a deal, and Trump's like, too late, you had your chance, sorry.
Yeah.
And I like that he's not bowing to them again. Um, now, what this war has shown is Iran has always been. They accuse the United States of being a paper tiger. Iran's a paper tiger. They're all talk. They're all bluff. Yeah, they can hit a few things minor, but they're not causing major damage. Their biggest thing is basically the closure of the Strait of Hormuz
Hmm.
because it's such a narrow waterway. But what that has encouraged is the creation of pipelines across the Saudi desert and uh, back through Turkey and that kind of stuff, and getting away from transiting through the Strait of Hormuz. That's one of the big things that the war has shown is there needs to be an alternate method of transport,
Yes.
which for all the greenies out there should be a good thing. You don't have diesel boats chugging away, contributing to climate change when they're transporting all that oil. Um, just pump the crude through the desert.
I'm sure. There's a lot of lobbying from Maersk and some other companies going, "Fuck no, don't do that."
Yeah. Um, I
Merchant
don't know
Marines
if we're
is a
going to actually
huge,
take out
huge
Karg
business.
Island. If we take out Karg Island, that's the end of the Iranian economy. They have nothing left. And China, that they get what is it like 40% of their oil from Iran?
Hmm.
It's a big number.
Right.
Um, but if there's no oil infrastructure left to pump it out, China's going to have to go find something elsewhere. And that's something else people don't seem to understand. Look, I get Trump's a lot of big bluster, but you got to look at a bigger picture. This is yes, this hits Iran, but who's Trump's real target? You look at Venezuela. You look at what we did in Panama. You look at us isolating Cuba. Now you look at Iran. It diminishes Chinese capacity. China can't go after Taiwan if they don't have the oil to power their stuff. So, a lot of this is targeted at constraining China just in different ways. It's design. It's just not something people, he's not out there, claiming such, but anybody who even modestly familiar with strategic design can see that that's what's going on. It's designed to isolate China. We don't need to isolate Russia. Russia is a third-rate power that can't even beat Ukraine and is now in danger of losing more territory to Ukraine. I saw a video of Russians in a what 10-mile gas line uh, outside Novosibirsk. Their economy is crumbling, so it really is about containing China. Now, I don't know how long the Iranian thing will go. We got the chief of their air force. Iran's been putting big things up about how they're going to put Trump, how they're going to go after Trump in the White House and stuff. They can talk big all they want. They're not going to get there. It's just not going to happen. But when we go after the question is, when we go after Carg Island, do we just blow up the infrastructure or do we try to do an assault on Carg Island? I would just blow up the infrastructure. We can achieve the same effect without having to send in ground troops. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, there's a lot there. One of the things I will do, I'll put a little rewind on our podcast episodes and go back. I don't even know how many we'd have to go back. And you and I both, I thought, I thought the whole, from a military strategic standpoint, the ceasefire was a chance for us to refit, refuel. That was
Oh yeah,
absolutely necessary because there was so much ordnance we were sending their way that
I think that was a big part of it. Was
I do
it's
too.
we claim diplomacy, but we use that as a strategic rearming.
Yeah, absolutely. But I for those of you that don't know what a MOU is, there's a like in the Army, we would use MOUs kind of with other agencies is how they were supposed to be used. Memorandum of understanding. There's nothing binding in a
Yeah,
memorandum of understanding. It's like literally like, okay, I understand that I'm going to do this, and you understand that these are your tasks, responsibilities. I once had a logistics fuck um, tried to tell me that I needed to draft up an MOU between G3 and current ops and G5 and G6 and
that's not the
G7.
way that works.
And I'm like, that's absolutely 100% backwards from anything I've ever done in my life, 180 degrees. And he was pressuring me to do it. And I was a major and he was a colonel. And I just turned around and he's like, Major Koopman, I need that on my desk in 3 days. And I'm like, I'm not going to fucking do it. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. This is the Army. We know how this stuff works. Okay. And if we don't, I'm fine telling people how it fucking works. And I left his office. He ended up giving me a good OER, which I was kind of surprised by. But and I got above center of mass by the senior rater, so I guess it worked out okay.
If nothing else, go tell the chief of staff what this douche is trying to direct. And I think the chief of staff would probably be like, "No, this is my staff, and this is the way it works."
Yeah, yeah. And he was an ally of mine, so I didn't try to play that card too much unless I needed to. I
Yeah,
had
I
to go
get it.
talk to him. I had to go talk to him because I basically told the superior officer to fuck off that I wasn't going to do it. But I was fine not following orders that didn't make any fucking sense and apologizing to my boss later. I was
Yeah,
fine with that, you know. Anyway, so the memorandum of understanding I thought was the weakest level that you could put anything at as far as agreements between you and it's true. I mean, there's like memorandum of instruction is a lot different than a memorandum of understanding in the military anyway.
yeah.
So there was no treaty. There was no treaty on the table. They kept calling it that. Everybody's like, "What about this peace treaty? What about?" There's no
No peace
peace
treaty.
treaty. There's no fucking treaty. Why would there be a peace treaty? We're bombing them into the Stone Age again. But I would not have taken this big of a step back. I didn't. I thought that was a big mistake, in my opinion, and I think you kind of shared that sentiment. Is that we went from 100 miles an hour to almost zero,
Hmm.
and I was seeing no signs that Iran was capitulating. Another thing is that you and I understand that culture better than some, not as well as many, but better than most of your lay people out there. An MOU is not going to work with these motherfuckers. These
No,
are evil, despite, and I'm not talking about Iranian people, the
no, but the
people, because
leadership
every
you have.
Iranian person I've ever met is really fucking awesome, to be quite honest with you, and they hate the regime. I'm talking about the regimes. They don't get it. They don't get it. They're
They're
retarded.
either at your feet or at your throat.
Yeah, they're retarded. It's like trying to explain how would have to pay for socialism to a leftist.
Yeah,
If you want socialism, capitalism has to pay for it. So how are you going to do that? Or you could just be a capitalist, which is save the world. Is absolutely save the
oh
whole
yeah.
fucking world. Make it
That reminds
zero.
me. I've been in some online arguments with actual communists recently who told me that I don't understand communism. I'm like, no, I do. That's why I oppose it.
Yeah, that those 10 million people probably understood it too as they were being shot in the back of the head.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. We've killed a lot of people in the history of the United States. How many did Stalin kill of his own fucking people? You know?
yeah.
Yeah. The estimates and the 10 million is the thing you see on the memes. The estimates are far, far higher than that. The true historians going back probably think it's somewhere between 25 and 50 million when you count like Khmer Rouge and all these other like Cuba
Hmm.
and you start adding that stuff together, you're looking at 25 to 50 million people that were put down in the name of collectivism and sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you're sharing things all right. Your fucking bullets and your gun, you're sharing those with people. It's just or your rope. your ropes are being shared, I see.
Yeah.
But it's I really didn't think there was any chance of this ceasefire MOU whatever, and there was no treaty. Everybody, we didn't violate a treaty. It was just a ceasefire and an
The
MOU,
MOU was supposed
which
to
is
allow
what
the MOU was supposed to allow space for them to negotiate a treaty, and the Iranians kept putting more and more conditions on it.
right. And I don't know. The lamb does not debate the lion,
No,
and that's exactly what's going on here. You have a toothless old lamb trying to tell the lion what to do, and
I like
sometimes
that.
you
I'm gonna
just
use that.
I I don't think we lined up enough. I think we should have went after their infrastructure right from jump. I really do.
Yeah.
Um, like Desert Storm, that was a big part of that was infrastructure. Big
Yeah.
part of that shock and awe was going after infrastructure.
What we need is we need a couple of ambitious colonels in the Iranian army to decide that they've had enough and they take over themselves.
I think I don't understand. I've studied it. You've studied it. You try to understand people, different cultures. We both know people from different cultures, have been around different cultures that are kind of difficult to be around. I've been around cultures that I greatly admire. I know a lot of people get on me for this, but goddamn, I admire the Japanese culture for so many different things.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of the way they conduct themselves in their culture. I don't want to be Japanese. Trust me, I'd rather be a balls out American, but um, I don't think people really understand how embedded in their dogma just because that's all they've ever gotten in their life. How could people be like this? Well, it's one of the things that I have come to realize philosophically about Trump in his second term. And you see these people post meme after meme or statement after statement, lie after lie after lie. And you and I weren't like big Trumpers at the beginning, and I wouldn't even say I'm a big Trumper
I
now.
wouldn't say we're big Trumpers now.
No, I
There are
wouldn't
things
either.
that
I
he's done I like.
100%
There's things
support.
that I'm not a big fan of.
Right. I 100% support him on a lot of things. And some things make me frankly uncomfortable, but I'm glad he's here. And, this is a world-changing event. What he's also done is he's the one who's fucking dug up the Viper pit. And now we see what the other side's really about.
Hmm.
And, I still hear these pundits go, I just don't understand. Well, I don't either when I see somebody so fucking stupid that they can live on a bed of lies and they don't want anybody to come along and tell them. And then they do the reserve, they do the projection. Well, MAGA, you're all retarded. La la la. It's like, I'm sorry. Yeah, Russ, you're fucking retarded. Yeah, all 587 of our folks on our Facebook page are give me a fucking break. Even the most MAGA of MAGAs that I see out here in the county I live in, which, we're talking let's go Brandon flags from their
Yeah.
lifted trucks and those guys, they have more common sense in their fucking pinky than these people do in their entire lives. And even though I'm really uncomfortable with some of their thoughts and behaviors and, you know, talking like third graders back and forth on Facebook. I was talking to my barber this morning about about some of these confrontations you see on Facebook. And it's like,
Hmm.
oh my God, this literally sounds like what you had heard on the playground in grade school or junior high.
Yeah.
And they're writing back and forth. And those kind of people, yeah, they're just ignorant people, and maybe they got the first time in there, they got this shocking thing called social media, and they're out there, woohoo, woohoo. It's kind of like my professor, one of my professors, writing professors in college, talked about how he was leading this program, helping lead this program with a colleague who was an artist early in his career. I think he was still in school or something like that. And this guy was
Hmm.
in his 60s, great guy. And he was talking about how the kids were told, as we were told in class, I'm not gonna censor. I want your creative. It was creative writing class. I just want you
Hmm.
to put it out there, vomit on it if you have to. We'll work on everything, every assignment you have. La 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 la. And one kid came in there and he was just just a lot of cuss words. And Dr. Cooper said, "Yeah, I remember that." And he talked about how these kids would come in, and it was an inner city kind of thing, and they would just be like "fuck" and "tits" and
Hmm.
all this stuff. And it said it got out of their system after about 3, 4 weeks, and then they
Yeah.
started actually being creative because they needed to purge all that stuff that they'd been fed and felt, and then they could get creative and feel a little bit more comfortable. He said it took about 3, 4 weeks. And we
Yeah.
knew it was going to happen, and you didn't get mad about it, but you just said, I'm looking forward to you actually really exploring your creative side. I'm looking forward to when that young man comes around. And I think about that with these fucking people on Facebook or social media, and there's there is some part of their brain that's locked into that and won't evolve. And
Yeah.
your prefrontal cortex, you're like 40 fucking years old. It's done growing. I hate to tell you. Your brain ain't growing no more. You stopped
Well,
growing 15 years ago, but it's weird. It is weird. It's hard to understand, but once you understand it, I just think you can't capitulate. You can't capitulate with these folks. It's a culture that doesn't understand it. Go watch any of these videos about these Islamic immigrants trying to overrun countries,
oh yeah.
you know.
Well, yeah. That's the thing is
Hi, buddy.
it's you know
Hi,
try
sweetie.
to try to use the laws to your advantage until you were in charge, and then use the laws against those who
Right,
you just overran.
right.
Um, you're speaking about people saying stupid stuff. Uh, maybe you'd be proud of me. Maybe you would call me a pussy, but um, I actually walked away from a stupid person yesterday without.
Literally physically walked away.
Yeah, because it was they were buying something for my wife, and they started making really stupid statements. I made one counter argument, and he went back into his conspiracy theory shit, and I was like, I'm gonna go check the yard real quick because that wasn't the time for me to ruin my wife's business. But it was just conspiracy theory garbage about why cancer is still around and all this other stuff. And normally I would engage, but that probably wasn't the proper forum.
Tell
So for one of the only
he probably watches the Y files on YouTube, which I've recommended to all you guys many times.
yeah, well, for one of the few times recently, I actually walked away from that because I'm like, okay, because I was trying to take my wife's feelings into consideration, and as opposed to just being, I've grown very intolerant of stupid people presenting their opinions as facts. It's really gotten on my nerves. It's like it's if we want to have a policy disagreement on something, like the scope and size of government or whether or not, we should be striking narco terrorists or whatever, great, let's have that discussion. But don't present your bullshit like it's a fact that's against international law or, government, you're a bad person if you don't want government to spend on, don't present that as a fact. Let's have a discussion about it. But it's just, as I've said to some people, I'm really not that smart a person. I can't build a bridge. I can't put a spinal cord back together. I can't pull off a beautiful symphony in an orchestra, but I can do some basic analysis, and I know what is, you know, what common sense is, and a lot of people lack it. There's a lot of very smart people in their fields, but you get them outside of their fields, and
Oh yeah,
they
yeah.
become like toddlers.
I can tell you, I'm always impressed when I meet because most people know I spent a little bit of time in medical school, and the big reason I left wasn't so much, well, it wasn't the coursework because I got in, and so most people are pre-qualified for the coursework if you get into medical school because there's like less than 1/10 of one chance
Yeah,
of 100% to get in. Um, but it was the narrow-minded view and the lack of life experience. I mean,
yep.
granted, I'm probably the only kid that grew up on a farm in a logging town, worked in sawmills, had the life I did. That was there. There was one Seahawk player that I was in class with, and he was pretty cool. He blew out his knee, so he decided to get a medical retirement and go to medical school instead.
Cool. Who was it?
Uh, you would know he only had a cup of coffee. His name was Larry Stainer. Good
Yeah, I
guy,
don't know.
good guy. He looked the part. He looked like Gronkowski, but he had an actual brain. He was actually very smart. He deserved to be in medical school. But
Good.
I remember this. I went to medical school when Clinton was elected, and for
Hmm.
some reason, some professor thought it'd be appropriate to take a poll to see how many people voted for Clinton, how many people voted for Bush. Out of a sitting class, an auditorium of 160 people. That's how many people there were in these
Hmm.
auditoriums, and the professors would just come in and out of the same auditorium, unless you went to lab or something else. Out of 160, there was 17 of us who'd voted for George Bush.
Oh,
17.
geez. I'm sure that opened you all up to ridicule too.
Well, and I'm 21-ish, 22 years old, just barely 22 years old, and I had not been exposed. I was living in Seattle for the first time, and I had not been exposed to this big of a fucking clown show. And but things weren't as vehemently as horrible back then between
Yeah, they're not.
people.
They weren't as bad as they are today. They were still. They
No,
could. They could be bad.
they could be bad. And there was a lot of, I remember one girl trying to correct me about ecology and environmentalism. I'm like, you've lived in Seattle your whole fucking life. I grew up on a farm, an organic farm where I literally was shoveling shit in bare feet. And
Hmm.
I was in the timber industry. You don't think the timber industry knows something about that because it's a renewable resource and their lives depend on it? And it was during the whole spotted owl thing.
Oh
And
God.
the girl sitting next to her turned around and goes, maybe you should fucking read Al Gore's book and learn something.
Oh really? That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the one that said the Earth was going to be destroyed in 10 years? And this
Still
was,
waiting on that.
yeah, that was literally 46 years ago when he said that. Yeah. So anyway, um, I've been, it's just been a clingy thing. That was my first real exposure to how the left thinks and what they do and how there's nothing you can say to convince them any different. And back then I had a lot of Democrat friends. There was a Jewish kid that was my best friend, and he used to. I heard through the grapevine that he was always defending me to people that had never even spoke to me because they looked at me as like,
Hmm.
they probably thought I was a Hitler youth and grew up as a.
Yeah.
I remember one guy. I told one guy that I was lab partners with. We were literally dissecting a corpse, a cadaver, I should say, not a corpse. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Cadavers and corpses are different. There
Yeah.
we were out on Treasure Island. But um, I can't remember his
Sounds like
name.
you're digging up bodies from a graveyard.
I can see his face, and he would have ended up looking in his old age like that dude did in the Green Lantern movie that grew the huge head and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So that's true.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and he said something. I said something. I turned around and I said something about it was kind of on the down low, but not really. That I was a commissioned officer in the Army. Right? I was a
Uh,
commissioned second lieutenant in the Army. And I said something about Army. He goes, "Oh, you mean those fucking Nazi hillbillies that love to roam around in the woods with sticks? Those hicks?" And I'm like, "The fuck did you just say?" And I was one of the two tough guys, maybe, in the
yeah.
entire class. There was an ex-Marine. He's a good dude,
Hmm.
good friend. I liked him. That was about it. And out of 160 people, I can guarantee you, I was probably the only redneck kid. And that's what he said about the Army. And I'm just like, how many soldiers have you ever met in your life? Oh, I've only, didn't really say anything. How many Army officers have you ever met in your life? I go, well, you're talking to one now, bitch. And he just about shit himself because he's a little
Good.
troglodyte. And but oh, I was a bad person for sticking up for myself and sticking up for something that I loved more than myself. And rumors got around, and oh yeah, he's a killer and a Nazi and all this. I'm just like, geez, Louise, I've got that my whole life. Just because I look like the perfect Hitler youth doesn't mean I really was one. Okay,
Or just
two
because your grandfather was in the SS.
two things can be true at once. All right, and I'm not 100% German. It's just what I mostly am.
Real quick, that does remind me. We've often talked about ancestry and you know all that kind of stuff. I don't want to circle all the way back to soccer, but did you ever see the
Sure
Norwegian
you do.
Viking?
Sure you
No,
do. Did I see what? Did I see what?
did you ever see Eric Holland? Eric Holland,
I don't
the
know.
Norwegian superstar.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
What? Yeah, I only bring it up because you were talking about ancestry and stuff. The dude is like that's how I imagine you would be out on a field. He's like the prototypical Viking with the blonde hair, six
Right.
foot three or 6'5", and
Yeah, he's a
just
big dude.
he's a big dude. So anyway, I was just thinking about that with the Vikings and the
I
ancestry
don't
and
know
that kind of
why it
stuff.
popped up. I don't know why it popped up, but I was doom scrolling and one of the video about him popped up. And I was like, okay, that guy belongs playing rugby or some shit because
Yeah.
he's a tough guy out there. He's an enforcer. But it also showed like he's up in the stands and some kid interrupts him and he just gives the kid a big hug and picks him
Yeah.
up and
He,
gives
he
him
was in
just,
Dallas. He was going shopping for cowboy hats.
yeah. Yeah. But the fans adore him because he's tough and he treats the
Yep.
fans like gold, which is
Yeah,
that was cool
he's
to
one of
see.
those guys that like he knows that the fans are why he's there, and he has an appreciation for them. So anyway,
Right.
I just thought you'd get a kick out of
No,
you have
I
you have a
did
kindred
see that.
spirit out there that I'm like that would be Coop if or Coop's brother
Did I? Yeah, it. I could see it. I could see it. He's a cool dude. I like him. Did I tell you that my DNA got, the updates as the technology and interpretations get better and they're getting more data, the statistics spread. Did I tell you what was big that just popped up this year?
Did you say Ukrainian or something?
Well, no, that was I'm a little bit. And it's yes, I got the little Russian Ukrainian thing, but you can't tell they're the same people. If people don't
Yeah.
know that, they're genetically exactly the same people.
You may have said something, but I don't remember.
Lithuanian of all fucking
That's
things.
right. That's why I was thinking
They're
Ukrainian.
even Lithuanians are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They're fucking nuts. And it's like, God damn it. God damn it. So, and it's another one that I got to add to the like, that's why I have mental health issues. It's like I got all these fucking things living in my DNA. Next thing it'll be like, you're also pterodactyl, you know?
Pterodon. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. But anyway, we should probably wrap it up. Do you have a final subject that you want to hit
Just
on?
real quick, I want to get your take on what Hegseth came out with today
Yeah, yeah.
about testing for testosterone.
Yeah, give
What are
us the
your
over.
thoughts?
Give us, go ahead, give me the rundown.
So I've only got it briefly. I've only seen some stuff that Secretary Hegseth wants uh, U.S. soldiers over the age of 30 to start being tested for testosterone. Um, and he says it's only for health screening purposes, is what the gist is supposed to be right now.
Hmm.
Um, we'll see. I want to get your take on it before I comment.
Yeah, I saw kind of blurbs about it in Blippets, and I think I read a quick couple of paragraphs. I thought it was weird, but um, as somebody who that's a big part of men's health now. It's not just a fad. It's not just Joe Rogan telling everybody to get on TRT. Like my primary care docs, the last two screen for testosterone levels, especially men my age. I'm getting up there to where you lose after the age of 30, you supposedly lose like 10%, or not 10%. I can't remember how much it is. Like every 10 years you lose another uh, percentage and it just keeps going down and down. Um, so if it's from a men's health standpoint and awareness, like, you have to go get checked up in the army and they look at everything, your cholesterol and your, all that stuff. If it's for that purpose, yes. If it was for, okay, if you're below a certain level, we're going to put you on TRT. Fuck no.
Yeah, I
That's the gate that I'm worried about because I'm as a
yeah
semi-libertarian still not part of the party. Uh, even in the military, that I think that goes because that's not a vaccination that we're forced to get. You know,
yeah
um, if they recommend it, like a medical doctor in the army wants to recommend it that you go on it, and if they want to pay for it, it's a big part of like men's health now. I to be honest with you, I'm on TRT.
yeah.
And because I have a lot of health issues going on in it, my doc said, no, it'd really help you to be on TRT. It really would. I wasn't drastically low, but I was low enough to where, no, you could use a supplement.
Well, here's my thoughts. Um, the reason I'm a little bit concerned about it, in some of the ways you are, is because Hegseth was the one that announced it. And what I mean by that is, if it's all just about health and proper screening, I think that could have just been put into the medical rules without fanfare.
Yeah,
I think the amount of fanfare the company has given me pause um, for
I hear
whether or
you.
not to make folks go on TRT or if they're going to remove folks based on testosterone levels. Because there are things that, don't get me wrong, testosterone is important. Absolutely. Like you said, men tend to lose some of it. You need it
Yes.
but there's things that testosterone doesn't account for. And here's what I mean by that. The biggest thing that I have not seen those levels account for is heart. I've seen the scrawniest infantry guy who probably doesn't have the highest testosterone levels
Yeah, just based on muscle mass and bone mass.
yet gut out a 25-mile road march
Sure.
and be a killer versus some
100%.
super bulk jacked, Jack Reacher type
Right.
that twists an ankle and cries like a baby.
Yeah.
Um, I am concerned what they're going to use it for. If it's only health screenings and make folks aware of stuff and to provide options, I get it, but I don't know that it stays there. I don't even know if that's the true motive. So I am very wary of
I don't
this.
know what exactly motive is. I just
I
had a
don't know. I
fun,
mean, I know what they're saying about, it's just for health screenings,
And
but
if that's
we
what it's for,
also,
if that's what it's for, I think it's a great idea. But
yes,
it
but
needs
we
to
also
stop
know the
there.
government has a history of not giving the full reason up front.
There's a couple things that I will say. Number one, if he uses it as a gatekeeping device to keep women out of the combat arms, then I'm 100%. No, okay, Jim, I'm going to take
Just
that back.
kidding, folks.
I'm kidding, folks. I'm kidding. That was a joke. But one of the things that I will say is like you and I didn't get any, our generation, and certainly all the generations came before us, there was no such thing as, even though they had preventive medicines at the med cents and stuff like that, you and I had no preventive medicine. We didn't get
No.
that. We didn't go to a doctor and says, well, I think you should take high doses of vitamin D because you're very, very Nordic and you have low vitamin D. And oh, by the way, mega dose vitamin B as well because it's good for you. There was none of that shit.
Yeah.
Both the doctors I go to are very much into preventive medicine, and looking at the whole body and the whole human
Hmm.
model, not just what your numbers are. So I think that's also important too. There's been a big shift, I think, and I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I don't have direct knowledge of this. I never looked it up, but a big shift. There's a lot more civilian trained doctors working in the military than used to be by far and away.
Yeah.
Most of them used to be green suiters. So hopefully there's an infusion of a little bit more modern look at things. I mean, there's so many things out there, everything from cold plunges to, Wim Hof Viking breathing, the guy who swims 100 meters underneath the ice and can pop up the
Hmm.
other side. There's been big changes in our definition of micronutrients and everything at the cell level. When I was in college, I got to tell you, I have a biology degree, and almost everything I studied, not the basics, but almost everything I studied is out the window. They used to say, what was it? The central tenet, the dogma of biology is phylogeny excuse me, I can't even say it. Phylogeny recapitulates ontogeny. And that was the concept that within your DNA, you go through all stages of evolutionary development because you kind of look like a lizard, then you kind of look like a fish because you have gills and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And that we contain the history of our species evolutionarily throughout history within our DNA. And as the fetus develops, you can tie it to a bunch of different things. Okay, that was a reach, and that's completely off the board now after they did the DNA genome project and
Yeah.
all this other stuff. Because no, all that is that's a fairly efficient way for anything to evolve, anything to gestate.
Gestate. Yeah.
That's just an efficient way, and that's where, since we share DNA with almost everything on the planet, that's one of the things that stuck and worked. There's a lot of things that work for every species, and that's one. Bilateral symmetry works for almost every species. You know, but I know that was a sorry, I got carried away on some of the stuff that I like and study, but still, but I just hope it's for that reason. Like we said, I won't beat the dead horse. There's a lot of stuff that I look at. I do my own testing through LabCorp, and you know, I
Hmm.
can read the test myself because of my educational background, and I know what's what, and I know what to pay attention to and what not to. And I want to look to see how my prostate is, my blood numbers. I tried to kill my liver through alcohol imbibing for many, many years. And the beautiful thing about that is my liver's functioning like an eighth grader's. It's got all wonderful numbers.
Good.
All of my enzymes I look great. Um, so that's the one healthy thing I got going on with me right now. Um, but there's definitely a worry in my old libertarian brain that this
Yeah.
could lead to more. And maybe we're just I don't know.
Maybe we're overthinking it,
Maybe
but
we're shining the flashlight on shadows that aren't there.
yeah, it was the fanfare again. I would prefer to just be kind
That's
of quietly
Hegseth though.
sniff.
That's Hegseth's
I
personality too.
know, but that he's one of the things Hegseth needs to be aware of, in my opinion, is the impact of his words and actions, no matter how big or small. He's the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
What he says has weight.
Yes, it does.
And I get that he's very flamboyant and macho and wants to project that kind of image for the military, and I really appreciate that. I think that's awesome. We've been missing that for a long
Oh,
time.
I think 90% of what he does is great. I really do.
Yeah,
I
but
appreciate
but
him.
but he's got to understand at least some level of discernment in terms of what he produces with fanfare,
Yes.
because that
100% agree with you there.
yeah, because he gets paid attention to with that kind of stuff, and that's just like I said, it's not going to affect me. I've been retired for, 6.5, almost 7 years now.
Hmm.
Um, but still, for soldiers coming up, it is like you said, the libertarian part of your brain, and plus some of the gatekeeping stuff. It does concern me. There are some things that like when he talked about fat generals that I was cheering him on because I'm like
Oh, me
these
too. Yeah,
these
me too.
fuckers they turn people out of the military, they chapter people out of the military based on standards they themselves cannot maintain. And I get that a lot of them are desk jockeys, but the standard is the standard. And you get more weight, you get more inches as you get older. That's already a given. It's not like you have to be as fit as a 21-year-old. But if you're going to chapter somebody out for height and weight standards, then you should have to meet them yourself. So people got out and said, that could have been an email or he doesn't need to concern himself. Well, no, I think almost every soldier that's in the field has been commenting on that ever since I came in the army.
Yeah,
So I appreciated stuff like that.
me too.
Um,
Me too.
but like I said, a touch, not a whole lot, but a touch more discernment would probably go a long way.
Yeah, to explain it a little bit further, I didn't see anywhere where he explained this is our long-term way of taking care of our soldiers, even after they're out of the military, to make them aware of any,
Yeah.
and no, they didn't do that for us. You get to the VA level when I got out, and it's like, oh, they are. I mean, I was at Madigan before I got out, and for months and months and months, and so that was the first time getting out that I felt like I had really good comprehensive medical care. And then
Yeah.
they turn you over, at least my experience at Fort Lewis, going through the Warrior Transition Unit and then getting a VA rep 3 months before I got released from that Warrior
Hmm.
Transition. And then being able to seamlessly go into the VA and they had all my records exchanged there. Because when you demob or you're going through the retirement process or anything like that, that's what they do. And hopefully this is more of a focus on that. I wasn't until I got to the VA that any of those type of, how many times did you do how many times did you do a meditation class or an IRES class when you're on active duty?
Never.
Never. There isn't anything like that. And do I think things like that are useful? I do, because I have, again, educational background, anecdotal evidence. I look around and I've participated in a lot of stuff like that. That is incredibly helpful. It's not like, your commander said, "All right, we're having arts and crafts from 6 to 9 tonight over in the DFAC." That would have been kind of cool, to be honest with you. I mean, that sounds silly, but that's
We killed
really
each other over the crayons.
yeah, but yeah, we probably would have been. But vets with PTSD, things like that are really important. And
Yeah.
obviously the preventive stuff wasn't there in a lot of ways because I had no idea how many problems I had until I went through Madigan and all that. It's like you have to exercise this every day. You're going to be in a wheelchair by the time you're 50. I was told that, things
Mm.
like that. And it's like, well, I'm damn close right now. So she wasn't far off. She was only like 5 years off, but um, I don't know. Like I said, things are changing a lot. We've come further in the last 10 years or so in the awareness of, and most of it's been because of our genetic research,
Yeah.
and an awareness of how things really work and going through that. The Human Genome Project, maybe other than the building of the CERN collider, is one of the greatest things that's ever happened in science. Maybe even more so than that. That they actually were able to decode the human genome. Now they can
Mm.
do it in an hour. Back then it was like 3 years or something. I read the book by the gentleman, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, who was in
Francis
charge of that.
Collins.
Who?
Francis Collins. Francis
Yeah.
Collins.
Yes, yes, yes. And how he became a Christian during that
Yep.
process. He was an atheist, and then during
He
the
was an
process,
atheist. He saw design and what God had put together.
yeah, yeah, and that's fascinating. He wrote the book. I think it was, what was it called? Something in the cell, message in the cell, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Something
Where
like that. I don't remember the exact one,
and
but
it
yeah.
was it was both a really good science read because he got in detail about the Human Genome Project, and then talked about his conversion to Christianity as a basis of, he's like, wait a minute, this is impossible. This is not random. This didn't just
Yeah.
arise out of soup, you
Yeah.
know, 6 billion years ago. That's silly. But anyway, wow, we got way off track there, didn't we?
We've been all
Sorry.
over the place tonight, but it's our first one back in like 4 weeks, so we got to cover a whole bunch of
Yeah, and
ground.
we got to get it out of our system. We can I'll get us a little bit better agenda and some videos next week. Like and do you remember that video that I'm gonna ask for your help on this. I'll text you offline, but that video that Chris suggested um about the Girls Gone Wild thing.
I need to go back and look.
All right, I'll say it offline because I want to give anybody any ideas.
Okay.
So I'll tell you when we get off. It'll take 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm
Please.
gonna need some help from you guys from our little group. We got to call our group with like endless ranters and the grumpy bastards, something like the endless bastards or something. I don't know. Got to get a name
Grumpy
for it.
Ranters,
Yeah, grumpy
Endless
ranters.
Bastards.
That probably would work. We don't want to leave Quana out though, so maybe bastards wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll talk to you offline. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
some help
Okay.
from you guys. It's a project I've been working on a little bit, and I'm having so much fucking fun with it. I can't even believe it. And I'll get your guys' feedback before it gets released to the general public. This
Cool.
project. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we talked about a lot of shit. Hopefully we gave you at least some entertainment and some
We
good
meandered
philosophical talk.
our way through all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's all right. So we're gonna sign off here. It was thanks everybody out there for supporting us. 150 episodes, I think, is kind of a big deal for a shitty little podcast like we throw together. With
I wouldn't say we're shitty, but we are little.
No, we're not shitty, but it can be, yeah. Obviously, we're not like the formal podcasts I have a hard time with.
Yeah.
Listening to him now because it's like I actually enjoy like listening to comedy podcasts and stuff where they're just chewing the shit. And this is supposed to be a little bit like of a hybrid between that and something a little more sophisticated. I
Well, I
tried
am
it.
funny as hell.
That dude that he's not a Fox News guy, but he's been on there. The guy that he's like square jawed with kind of my haircut, and he's got the glasses. Benny, what's his
Oh,
name?
Benny Johnson.
I can't fucking stand listening to that guy.
Really?
Yeah,
I have not
because
had
he
a chance
sounds.
to.
He's
I've
he
only seen
reminds me
clips.
of
I've never listened to him.
he reminds me of Jim Rome. The way
Oh, really? Okay.
the way he tries to talk, have a take or get off the phone.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
that Jim Rome. I hate Jim Rome. Can't stand Jim Rome. He even reminds me more of Colin Coward, actually.
See, I like Colin Coward.
I know you do, and I think he's very bright and he's got good analysis. And the beach where I was, that's where he grew up, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Colin Coward he's good when he knows what he's talking about. There's some times I've seen him engage on stuff that he actually doesn't really know what he's
yeah.
talking about.
He's one of the better, I think, knowledgeable national guys as far as that
Mhm.
goes.
Yeah.
He's not Pat McAfee who just gets on there and says, "Hey, brother." And I like Pat
Yeah.
McAfee. I'm one of the few people that actually likes Pat McAfee, by the way. But
Yeah, you're only one of the few people, yeah.
yeah, we kind of share the same haircut, kind of, sort of. But yeah, I think he could probably take me to fight right now, just like right now, though, not like later,
Not like 15 years ago.
and not hopefully in 5 years. I'll find a big old parking lot. No, I like him. Anyway, we're gonna shut up now. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna produce this. I'm gonna get this out tonight. I'll send a little note over to our folks because I didn't want to like in case something came up. I didn't want to go. Oh yeah, we're gonna be on tonight because we haven't been on in a month. So I wanted to make sure folks knew. But anyway, thanks for showing up for 150, everybody. It's been a whole boatload of fun actually. I've had more fun with this than a lot of things in my life. So
Me too.
everything from
Hashtag
making
me too.
yeah, you too.
Hashtag me too, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to say anything to our listeners for our 150th Russ before we get off?
Stick around for another 150 or you suck.
Yeah, let's grow these numbers. Let's grow these numbers, baby. So, um, remember Two Grumpy Bastards merchandise.com. There's a lot of good stuff over there. I've already got some ideas for the end of summer holiday season. Um, I had a really good idea about something we can do about Santa Claus.
Okay.
That popped into my head when I was in the post office the other day. I don't probably because packages and all that stuff. Uh, anyway, I don't know why I'm explaining my stream of consciousness thinking to our people out there.
That's what the whole episode's been, is both of our stream of consciousness.
It is. All right. I think my hounds need to be fed. They've been in and out, in and out, in and out. So I'll get them fed. Thank you, brother. Remember, from the Two Grumpy Bastards, this is Big Coop in the Pacific Northwest. That is my podcast partner over there from the wilds of Tennessee. And as we like to say, keep your focus and
They woke us.
Mercantile is the name of the store there that fronts us. And there's many, many other ways to support this podcast, of course. We have a Patreon page, same thing, Two Grumpy Bastards. We certainly would appreciate you following us on Instagram. Most of you probably know we have a Facebook page, Two Grumpy Bastards Podcast. We have a lot of fun over there, a lot of frivolity, a lot of memes, and a lot of hard-hitting news, believe it or not. A lot of great people in that group. Also, all of the social media outlets, including now on TikTok. You can find us there. And one of the things that I really wanted to tell you is if you have any feedback for Russ, especially because he kind of sucks, feel free to email us at twogrumpybastards@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us, or you can always leave us a comment or an IM on, or DM, I should say. See, I'm so savvy. I'm so savvy. On our Facebook page. So we really appreciate you listening or watching us over there on YouTube as well. And we hope you do both, because Russ is something to look at. I said something. I didn't say something really great to look at. Anyway, thanks for listening. This is your intrepid, amazing, and grateful host of the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast, Coop. Remember, keep your focus and stay wokeless.